What's up, Cougar Nation? This is Tyler Batty.
Tyler Batty again.
Tyler Batty comes in the game and right off the edge, just the three-man rush.
Cougar Nation, BYU football is back. The 2022 season is going to be one that's filled with a lot of highlights, a lot of excitement, and it's the final independent tour. I'm your BYU insider, Mitch Harper with KSLSports.com. Cougar Tracks is going to be bigger and better than ever before, too. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll have Cougar Tracks episodes. And then you're also going to get these special edition episodes with the pride of Payson, Utah, a man that I've talked to many years now, and he's rose to stardom in this BYU football program. And I think he's even better days are ahead of him going forward, and that's Tyler Batty. So you're now listening to Cougar Tracks with Tyler Batty every single week during the BYU football season. Tyler, I'm excited for this, man.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
So the pride of Payson, I want to, with this podcast every single week, last year I had Chaz Ayu on, and I really enjoyed the conversations with Chaz. They were a lot of fun. We're going to broach a lot of topics, whether it be football and whatever topics you want to hit on. This is kind of your platform every single week for 30 minutes. But in this episode, Cougar fans know you, the player. And I think they're still kind of getting to know you too, because I think there's still a lot of room to grow. But in this episode, I want to kind of get to know you maybe off the field a little bit as well. So tell us, when did you start playing football as a kid? Is it something that you were always drawn to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Payson, Utah. My parents have lived there for 30 years now. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and so I have a lot of older siblings that kind of did their own thing. But from day one, football was always it for me. From the time I could remember, like earliest memories, honestly, are just wanting to go play football. Like as soon as I played, it was probably honestly elementary school. You know what I mean? First grade, maybe. Flag football. I don't know. But ever since then, I just continuous stream of memories of just playing football with my buddies, rec league, and then at school, and then, starting to play tackle through junior high. But yeah, football has always been it.
In your family, football family, like your dad? What about
Nope. So I don't really have my dad, uncles. No one really participated in college athletics at all. So honestly, my older siblings, I had a few siblings that competed, in some different sports, but it was a lot of in the downhill bicycle industry or on a track riding dirt bikes. A lot of just anything outdoors. That's what we grew up with. So anything outdoors, on horseback, on 4-wheeler, dirt bike, whatever it was. Just getting outside and having fun. So a lot of my siblings pursued that, even professionally. For me, it was football, and no one else in the family really, played. I would say what you would call your regular sport, if you will. You know what I mean? So,
did you like BYU football growing up?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing. Growing up, we didn't watch a lot of sports. So we wasn't like we weren't a big Super Bowl Sunday family. We just spent a lot of time outside. We just spent a lot of time doing things. And so we never sat down and watched sports. And so it wasn't until I was, late junior high school that me and my buddies would get together and, what I mean? We'd watch our favorite teams, we'd watch the NBA Finals, we'd watch college football playoffs and national title game, and that's when I really started to follow the NFL more, and so growing up we didn't really watch sports.
And when you got to high school, so Payson High, and I looked this up, last time before you, BYU had a scholarship athlete from Payson. It was 1979, so it'd been a minute, and Payson, I don't imagine, is a recruiting hotbed per se. So was it when you started to take on football at Payson, was it kind of tough to get some recruiting attention?
Yeah, honestly, because it was a path that no one in my family or immediate circle was familiar with. It's a completely. I think that's that way for most people. For most parents, it's not like they've been through this over and over again, unless you have a family of freaks. The Nakuas or families like or the Ayus, that have been through this before.
Because it is a game. Like recruiting there's an art to it in a way.
Oh, totally.
Going through the camp circuit, doing all these things and testing
and that's kind of what I found. Honestly, I started to go to camps just to get better, right? Because I wanted to learn how to be a better player on the field. And then I realized, that's where you get exposure.
Yeah. I remember reading something about you from like Blair Angulo on Scout back in the day, and you were like it was like the P with a lion, like the cutoff shirt. It was like this Tyler Batty cat's like standing out. I got a duly noted. He's on the radar now.
Yeah, no, it was funny, man, because so the reason the last scholarship player from Payson was in 1979 is because that's about when we won our last state championship. So it's been a little over 45 years since Payson's been to the title game even. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of interest and while I was in high school, our program wasn't phenomenal either. We won 2 games in 3 years. So while I was playing. So a lot of it was camps. It started out as, trying to get better, trying to figure stuff out. And then I was like, this is where the action's at. This is where the scout, this is where the recruiters are, the coaches, the college coaches are at these camps. And then it was like, all right, well, more camps I go to, I guess, learning. And I learned a lot of those camps, but also getting to know people and making connections with different coaches. So how
would you describe maybe you as a high school kid? Like for me, I was like a shy. I mean, it's people that I know now that they go, "You're in what job? Like how you never spoke? You would cry in church when you were asked to give a prayer or a talk. You get this bright red face. I still do that, but I mean, what about you? What was like your personality? Like, were you outspoken? Were you like kind of the class clown? What were you like, Ben?
I was a punk in high school for sure. Honestly, like to be honest, there's probably a lot of people that are going to hear this and just nod their head in agreement and just be like, "Yes, he was." But things have changed. To try to be a more responsible citizen as we get older. But no, I was just my family. We just kind of grew up rough and tumble, and so I was loud. I got in a good amount of trouble just doing a lot of things. But yeah, that's kind of who I was in high school, and yeah.
So the rough and tumble style, like lifestyle, defensive line, going back to football.
Yeah, honestly,
that works great for you.
It fits right into the picture. Yeah, for sure.
So did you play defensive line then throughout your time at Payson, or did you play other positions?
Yeah. So my freshman year, I actually summer before my freshman year, I sustained a head injury and wasn't able to compete my freshman year. And so didn't play my freshman year and then came in sophomore year, and that's just kind of the natural position kind of fell into, was playing right offensive tackle and outside linebacker and doing, a bunch of other stuff anywhere else, I could fit in and do some. So, and then that just kind of transitioned, next year it was like, well, right tackle and D end. And then it was like, well, tight end and defensive end. And that's where I kind of played my senior year before graduating. And before you graduated,
your recruitment did take off. You had offers from BYU and Utah. And I remember you and I first spoke. I remember I was at a sports radio station that's now gone. It was 1320. But I was also working for Rivals.com, and you got a BYU offer. And I remember we had a conversation because I had heard when you got the offer that this Tyler Batty guy, I was hearing from people around BYU, he is going to be a big time player, Mitch. And I'm like, duly noted again. Like I was like, I got to talk to this guy then. And I remember we spoke, and I remember that passion for football that you're describing now resonated in that conversation we had. And I bring that up because sometimes when I talk to recruits or players, and this aligns with Kalani Sitake too. He loves guys that love football, and I could sense that you had a love for football, and I was thinking, this guy, man, he's going to work very well with Kalani Sitake, and the BYU offer clearly resonated with you. So what went into your decision then to, well, actually, first, let me ask, do you remember that call we had back in the day?
Vividly. I actually, I can remember it vividly. I was sitting in my basement, kind of in our family, in our family room, Yeah, so it's actually funny. You get those like still images in your brain, of a moment ever. Yeah, I do remember that vividly, and I was like, "This Mitch Harper, who is this guy?"
Yeah, well, back then, it's like just working for Rivals, covering the recruiting beat as hard as could be, and but I really enjoyed that conversation, and BYU, clearly you had BYU and Utah. That's a unique set of offers because two in-state schools, but Utah at the time, they're P5, Pac-12. BYU is independent, kind of new with Kalani Sitake. What'd you like about BYU? Like, what went into that decision to pick the Cougars over the Utes?
Honestly, a lot. Like I said, I was a punk in high school. I was a punk and a half. And so credit to Ito Iaki and Ty Detmer who were recruiting me at the time. Because growing up, both my parents attended BYU for a little bit of time, and so we were BYU fans more or less. My siblings attended BYU, and so pretty much grew up a BYU fan. So I was coming to the summer camps, right? I spent a lot of time here on BYU campus, and honestly, when BYU offered me, I wasn't super convinced. I wasn't like one of the. There's a lot of guys on our team like, oh, as soon as BYU offered me, I committed.
They get that summer camp offer, and it's done.
It's done because that's their family tradition or whatever. For me, it was like, nah. And I was still in high school in that rebellious phase, and I was like, well, if that's what my parents want, that's what I don't want to do, right?
See, and I'll admit, as someone that was just kind of thinking like, what's BYU's 2017 class going to look like? I'm thinking. Batty's kind of waiting on BYU. That doesn't bode well because Utah they got Sac Lake City going on. Even after Kalani leaves, they're rocking and roll with that defensive line, getting guys to the league. I'm thinking Utah's probably going to get this guy, and he's going to turn out to be a stud at Utah.
Yeah, honestly, that's where things were leaning. I was leaning out of state.
Really?
Just because I was like, I want to go experience something new. I want to get out of Utah.
Who else offered you?
So Hawaii. There was an offer on the table from Hawaii. There was an offer on the table from UCLA. And then let's see. There. I'm trying to remember.
You had options though.
There were a couple, and then there was a couple back east at some Ivy leagues. Which like Princeton, Dartmouth, those guys. Which was cool. I actually took an official back to Princeton. It was a cool school. But cool. I was looking at a state, and I was like, man, I don't want to stay around here. And then I was just kind of taking my officials and going. And honestly, I kind of just this sounds pretty bad, but honestly, this is how it went down. Is I remember getting a call. I was working. So in high school, I sold solar. So I was out knocking doors, and it was pretty late. It was 5 or 6 one evening, and I was still out knocking doors. And I get a call from Coach Tuyaki, and he's like, "Hey, we really want to get you up on campus. We want you to come on an official." Him and Ty had already, I think at this point, had already been down to my place and had breakfast with me and my parents, and I was like, I've seen BYU, but I'm really not interested in taking an official. Honestly, that is a huge jerk. I was like. That's a terrible thing. You just don't do that, man. You just
don't do that.
You just don't do that. You don't tell some coach, hey, actually, no, I don't want to, you don't say that, especially a school that's recruiting the crap out of you, is local. And so I honestly, on my mission, I wrote E, and I was like, hey, man, I'm really sorry for being a jerk in high school, because I was in way over my head. I had no clue what I was doing, and I was a turd. So, but honestly, as that kind of wrapped up, and those guys just, again, credit to them. They just kept recruiting me, and then the mission was coming up. All right, am I going to serve a mission? I'm going to serve a mission, and then it kind of hit me, and I was like, I'm going to be away from home for 2 years. Out of the schools that I had surveyed, honestly, BYU to me felt like it had the most potential. Maybe wasn't, like you said, wasn't maybe producing the most at the moment, yep. But I really liked Coach Sitake and his vision for the program. That's really what brought me into BYU. Was honestly, I think it was is the place I needed to be. All things said and done, and one of the, I think the biggest things that allured me to the program, just generally speaking, was Coach Sitake's vision, and that's still ongoing, and I think there's plenty that he still has to yet unroll. So
that's great stuff. You sign with BYU in the 2017 class, and you come back from the mission. And I remember I think it was 2019 you come back. I think you gray shirted that year.
Yep.
I remember the picture like in front of the temple with the, what was it? You had when you came back from your mission, I think, but you gray shirted. And what was during that time, like the BYU experience when you actually enroll in 2020, I think it was that winter. What'd you think of college football and just maybe the BYU lifestyle? Were you happy with your decision still?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, got here. So I gray shirted with a great group of guys. So Caleb Christensen was there, Fisher Jackson was there, Ryan Rico. Trying to think who else was in our gray shirt. There's a couple other guys that aren't playing anymore for various reasons, but we had a really good gray shirt group, and so we worked out all fall together, and we were really hyped to get playing, and then COVID hit. Yep. So it was like, oh, BYU, here we go, college experience. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're 2 months in, and this is a college experience nobody's had. So like, here we go. And so honestly, I didn't even get any spring ball in. So we got about a week of March of 2020 for spring ball before things got shut down. I was sick for that entire week and lost like 15 pounds.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was COVID or what I had, but something hit me and I was like on the couch for that entire week.
Jeez. And
then we were gone. So here we come fall camp. It was like a fire hose. That's what it was like. It was just like, this is so much stuff. That
and you guys are wearing the face shields. And
yeah.
I remember seeing like the pictures of Dax Mill with that face mask shield. I'm like, this isn't going to work. Come on, they're not even going to get games. How is this going to work?
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. Honestly, that fall camp and that whole season and everything, for it to be a first season, yeah, it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that is wild, and I'm sure at some point, so we can get into some of that. You mentioned experience, college experience. One thing that coincides with the BYU experience and kind of BYU way is a lot of student athletes, they find a spouse at BYU. You are a married man. Your wife, Elena, she's here in studio. I don't know if she wants to hop on the mic or anything, but when did you meet Elena? And just that experience of now being a student athlete that's playing at a high level at a visible program that's got a passionate fan base, but also being a married man as well.
Yeah. As to being married, for me, that was just kind of like the next thing. I'm home.
How'd you guys meet?
So we have to, and it's funny because it always starts out this way. But so everyone can kind of get a reference for time. It was when BYU beat Gonzaga at home, BYU men's basketball.
That works so well for me. Like that's how I look at my calendar. I always map it out. My wife thinks that's very weird. I said it's that day, that Monday after BYU beat so-and-so.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So February 27th, 2020.
All right. Yeah, you know the date.
Yes.
Exactly. So after that game, right, so there were parties going on all over. It was the weekend, whatever. There were parties going on all over, and so we
this is your show, Tyler, so you can tell us how you want it, okay?
No, yeah, absolutely. So after we beat Gonzaga, that was great. Me and a couple buddies, Ryan Rico and Austin Briggs, we headed to the Village for a party. And funny enough, Caden Hawes and his wife Anna were kind of running security, bouncing the door, if you will, whatever, admitting people to the party. And so of course we go in and we're doing our thing, and of course at like any party, it's hot and sweaty and in a tiny little clubhouse at the Village, right? And so we just go out, we'd take breaks, we'd go out and help Caden and his wife, just admit people and just hang out outside and cool off. And so that's where I actually first met Elena. Was there and nothing happened that night. Just like her and her friends came in, said hi. I'm not a stalker, but I did stalk her. Found out I just knew her first name and that she played soccer down at Snow College, and so that was it for the night. So sure enough, I look up Snow College's roster. I was like, oh, okay, gotta find this girl from Snow College. So I look up Snow College's roster, find her full name, and then of course go to Instagram. If you say you don't stalk people on Instagram, you're lying.
Does. Yeah, everyone
does. Instagram, Facebook, everyone knows. Everyone's like, oh, looked at their LinkedIn. No, you look at their Facebook, you look at their Instagram. So that's what I did. I found her Instagram, followed her, and then that was it for a couple months. And then COVID hit, and she came back up to Provo, back to her parents' house, and we started talking and hung out. And then we pretty much just spent all of COVID together.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
Yeah, here we are. So it was fun.
That's really neat. So there was some good things then from COVID then.
Oh, absolutely. Our marriage is one of them. So
that's amazing. That's so cool. And is it tough though being because college football today, like, back in the day when I talked to some of the guys in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it's like it was an off season. They'd show up and they'd work their way back into fall camp. You guys, you don't have that. I mean, it's a nonstop. You go from January to basically the bowl game. It's a nonstop grind. I mean, what's that like being married, but also being a student, also playing a high level of football and having aspirations in this sport?
Dude, honestly, it's packed, and we joke about it all the time. It's just like, well, where did the off season go? I swear we were just in Shreveport. Like, honestly, it's like, okay, we have 5 months. Okay, we have 4 months. All right, we have 3 months. Look, we still have 2 months left. Summer's not over. We still have a month till fall camp, and then we're in fall camp. We have a month till season, and then it's all right.
Yeah.
And then time should pause, but it doesn't, and then all of a sudden we're back at January. Yeah. But honestly, it's busy with school, and especially being married. It's just you just have to kind of acclimate to kind of having your time pulled in so many different directions, right? Your time and energy and priorities. Prioritizing the right things, and but it is busy to say the least.
And you mentioned Shreveport. Let's hope for BYU and your sake that you guys will go to a better bowl game and a better location this year. Because I was there in Shreveport too. I'll speak on your behalf. That was sleet filled and it was terrible. Shreveport was downright off. I was like, that is. I don't know if you felt that way, but I was like, ugh. I don't want to go there again. BYU, hopefully you guys have higher aspirations than the Independence Bowl, I would imagine. So let's look ahead to 2022. The season's going to kick off Saturday, September 3rd. USF in Tampa. You can hear all the action on KSL. Games are going to be on ESPN, a bunch of different networks. We'll keep you posted there. But how did fall camp go? What was achieved there, and what's the vibe of this team heading into 2022?
We're excited. We're super excited. As everyone knows, we're returning a ton of production. We're returning a ton of guys. We lost, a couple guys last year. Tyler Algier, of course, among probably the most impactful.
Sure.
But the guys that we have this year are workers. And honestly, what you said earlier about guys who love playing football, I feel like this team, all the dudes on it they love playing football.
That always has resonated with me with Kalani, because in 2016 when I had the chance to talk to him when he was the BYU head coach, and he's like, Mitch, I want to have guys that love just watching football, consuming football. It's a year-round thing. So that's kind of a theme then with these guys then.
Yeah, 150%. They're motivated. They're self-motivated. Dudes are just hungry. Yeah, guys, they want to learn. They want to improve. They want to get better. They want to know how they can help the team. They just want to play football and have fun and work their butts off. And so you can't ask for a better team, honestly. And so I'm really excited. I think the entire vibe, the atmosphere, is just guys are excited. Guys are excited to just play football, get on the field.
How anxious, or maybe how much of a chip on the shoulder, I guess, does the defense have after how the season ended? I mean, how motivating has that been this offseason going into 2022 with so much returning experience? I mean, everyone's back on the defense except Lopa on the defensive line. I mean, pretty much I just look across the board. I mean, you got your back, Earl Tuioti Mariner, who I think people are sleeping on. I think he's a guy that's going to have a huge impact on the D-line. Josh Larson, I mean, the names. But yeah. For the listeners out there who are getting up to speed a bit, this is a group that's experienced. So how much of a chip on the shoulder is there with this group to kind of, get past what happened at the end of last season?
Massive, honestly. Every single guy on our D-line has that chip. I would say every single guy on our defense has that chip. They want to make our presence felt in every single game. which is something that we kind of struggled to do last season. Honestly, we had highs and lows, but this year guys want to see a lot more high. You know what I mean? They want to show people who we are as a defense: tough, physical, competitive, smash mouth. You're not going to run on us. You're not going to throw on us. We're going to come after you every single play of every single game. Honestly, I think that is the feeling that is shared by the entire defense, from the secondary all the way down to the D line. Everyone just wants to punch you in the face.
Are there certain benchmarks, or maybe for fans that when they quantify? Because the thing is, it's interesting about BYU. Last year, you guys can win in a lot of ways. You can win a 21-19 game against Washington State, a Pac-12 team, or you could win 66-49. I know you probably don't want to have that type of performance, but you guys can win in a lot of different ways. So for the fan listening, how will they be able to quantify that toughness? Is there certain statistical metrics that you guys are aspiring to reach with this defense, or maybe just some goals or metrics that you guys want to hit this season?
100%. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is as a defense, you want to get turnovers. You want to you want to get teams off the field, and 2, you want to force turnovers. I think we're going to see a lot more of both of those this year. And the last one is keep points off the board. Yeah. That at the end of the day, pretty or ugly, that's what it comes down to, is keeping teams out of the end zone. And so really those 3 things, the first 2 really just contribute to the last one. It's get teams 3 and outs, force turnovers, fumbles, picks, whatever it is, working in as a defensive unit, to then keep teams out of the end zone, and not just out of the end zone, but far away from it.
When we talk about the defensive line, when I say we, maybe the media, I think fans too. You're the first name that gets brought up. Even Tuiaki mentioned in fall camp, they said it's kind of the nameless group. He said outside of Tyler Batty. Are you kind of a leader on this defensive line and the defense as a whole?
I would definitely say yes. I feel.
I know it's awkward to talk about.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's Cougar tracks with Tyler.
No, I feel a very certain sense of pride and a certain level of a certain standard that we need to uphold. And so, I do everything in my power to hold myself, 1, to that standard of what I believe that we can achieve, and 2, the guys around me, right? Holding them and doing whatever I can. Again, it just comes back to helping the team, right? To helping us win, but to contribute to those things, right? However I can help our guys get 3 and outs and create turnovers. You know what I mean? Or just creating a competitive, tough spirit, or whatever it is. I just trying to elevate that standard and hold that standard, and everyone knows what it is and can meet it. So,
are we overdoing it with the whole getting sacks bit, like the media? I mean, not saying you hear the noise, but I'm sure some people hear it. Are we blowing too much smoke up with that? Like, BYU needs to get sacks?
I mean, I like sacks.
Yeah,
I really like sacks. Sacks are my favorite part of football. As a defensive end, sacks, that's what I dream about.
NFL teams pay a lot of money for a guy that get sacks.
Honestly, I think when you look at a defense, honestly, there's been years when BYU has had, maybe been in the top 25 as a unit, as a D line, for sacks, and they go 5-7 or something like that. So stats don't always reflect necessarily how a defense is doing, right? At the end of the day, right, points scored on us per game, that's the biggest factor. And so honestly, I would trade all my sacks this season if we could hold every single opponent scoreless, right? If
like in 2020, you guys darn near did that.
Right. Exactly. But again, sacks and defensive plays, sacks turn to strip sacks. Those are turnovers. That contributes to getting our offense back on the field, getting the defense off the field, and to us winning a game. And so I think it's I don't know, maybe not maybe a little overemphasized, maybe not. Honestly, I don't know. But I think it definitely it is one way to maybe show how disruptive we are being with an offensive passing game.
It's going to be a fun year, Tyler. I'm excited for you guys. This is going to be a really good team. I feel like this year, are you guys setting as we kind of wrap this thing up for week 1, is there a certain win total? I mean, you guys are probably going into thinking you can win every game, but how do you define success this year?
Undefeated season. I think you want, undefeated season, make a run for a bowl game, for a playoff appearance. I think that defines success. We have we've seen it the past 2 seasons. We have a good team. We have a good program. That, I think, is where we are at as a team and as a program. That's how you begin to define success. It's not all right, we went positive, or we're bowl eligible. It's okay, how close were we to a New Year's Six? How close were we to a playoff appearance? How close were we to a national title appearance? You know what I mean? Yep. Stuff like that. I think as you get towards the kind of the top, that's how you begin to define success.
Well, and BYU football, it's always been a program built on dreaming big and trying to reach the highest of highs. And with the personnel you guys got, Jaron Hall on offense, the receivers, I can only imagine how much improvement you guys are having defensively going up against the level of play on the offense. So I know your time is precious, so this is only week 1. Fans, we're going to have this every single week. Tyler Batty here on Cougar Tracks. And Tyler, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today. Hope you enjoyed it, and looking forward to chats every single week during the BYU football season.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mitch.
Great stuff there from Tyler Batty. Every single week you're going to hear from Tyler on Cougar Tracks here on KSLSports.com. Keep in mind, the episodes will upload Wednesday night, Thursday morning. You'll have those available to listen and get Tyler's insight every single week throughout the BYU football season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Going to enjoy the conversations with Tyler. He's a lot of fun. I think this is going to be a exciting deal, having Tyler Batty as part of Cougar Tracks into the 2022 football season. So here's a rundown of what we got on Cougar Tracks this season. And there's going to be more, so stay tuned. Monday, typical show. Wednesday, typical show. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, the Tyler Batty edition. And then Friday, you'll have Cougar Tracks as well. There'll also be a Saturday night post-game show. Sunday might work in some things with some rewatchables. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cougar Tracks is going to be locked and loaded this year. I cannot wait. Hope all of you enjoy. So make sure to subscribe to the show on Apple, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Leave a rating and review. It helps out the show a ton. Talk to you next time here on the Cougar Tracks podcast, powered by KSLSports.com.